I have the keys to a 1964 Porsche 356 SC, and I have a mile to drive it and give you my impressions. But before I get in the car and start driving, let me tell you a little bit about this particular car. In 1964, it was nearing the end of the 356 model line before the 911 came out in 64, 65, so there was a little bit of overlap between the 901, as it was originally called, in the 911 and the 356. Because this was the last version of the 356, it was the most refined. It still has a 4-speed transmission, but it also gained disc brakes. And the difference between an SC model, which this is, and a C is about 20 horsepower. So this is a car that weighs a little over 2,000 pounds with 95 horsepower versus the C, which had 75 horsepower. So this is kind of the factory hot rod of that era. The current owner bought it in 1971 in Nice, France, when he was studying abroad in Florence, Italy, back in the 70s. So quite a treat to be able to find a car such as this. Here he is with this car decades later and still enjoying it. This owner at some point had a bare metal restoration, and it was painted in the original slate gray exterior color, which is a great color. The interior used to be a brown leather interior. It was getting a bit worn out, so as part of that restoration, he changed it to a red leather interior, which I appreciate. It's a bit flashier and makes you feel like you're driving something a little more special with that red interior. The owner also put a longer 4th gear into the transmission so that it could keep up with traffic in today's world, up to 80, 90 miles an hour. So with that, I have a mile to drive it. Come join me for a 1-mile review.
Be sure to log into your YouTube account, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a video. Best of all, it's free to do so.
So this particular car is owned by somebody I've known for a long time, so he was very gracious to allow me to drive it. And you could almost call this the best and the last of the 356s because it has that 1600cc, 95 horsepower with disc brakes. You know, it's the most refined of this generation. Big steering wheel, and I'm pretty sure this right here is the horn, this little ring in the center. Yeah, they don't make cars like this anymore. It's a lot different from stepping into a brand new Porsche or even one in the past 20, 30 years. However, what I have learned driving Porsches from all eras is that they tend to have a similar feeling, something that makes you think this is a Porsche. They share some sort of DNA. And you can almost blindfold me and I would probably be able to guess that this is a Porsche turning it on, even though I'm quite unfamiliar with the 356s compared to the other models. But with that, we're here to start driving. It's 4-speed transmission, and here we go. Yep, fires right up. It feels like a very nice throttle pedal, very progressive, nice and easy, not catchy. And got it into first, but I'm gonna make sure by doing a little trick that the owner taught me to sort of go into second a little bit first. Yeah, it should be good. Time to drive this for 1 mile. Nice, easy clutch, which is one of the hallmarks I look for when I'm driving any car. A nice, easy clutch progression is what I like to see. And once you get it over 2,000 RPM, it starts to wake up a little bit. Very easy steering. Yeah, once it hits 2,000 RPM, that's when it wakes up. And I'll keep it in first gear for here. Yeah, this is a nice little car. Easy to shift into second gear. That takes me a bit below 2,000 RPM at this point on this road. Really easy steering, you can tell. Big steering wheel, nice suspension. It seems a little bit softer than the Speedster I drove, which is in keeping with this being a Cabriolet and not as sport-oriented as the Speedster. So here I am coming up to a stop sign. This is definitely easier to drive than the last Speedster that I drove, partly because it has its interior in a little bit better condition and I'm able to pull the seat up to where I would normally sit. Now here we go, onto normal traffic here. Very easy to shift from first to second. I'm actually quite surprised at how easy that is for a car that's so old. The shift throws are not that long in this car, very manageable. And I can tell, so I know that the Speedster I drove last had a similar transmission from this era of 356, so this one must just have been a little bit better sorted with the bushings and my seat position. So we're on a local little road that the owner told me would be a great drive, and we're about to go up on to a little mountainside. Here I go. So yeah, again, really nice, easy clutch. Easy to put it into second gear. This is a much more relaxed drive than I was expecting for such an old car. And there's the 90 horsepower. It feels like you could have a bit of fun in this car with 95 horsepower. Yeah, really easy to drive this car. This definitely has that Porsche DNA where everything flows correctly, the steering is weighted properly, which corresponds to the clutch weighting, which also complements the gas pedal well. And then the shifter is a nice, fairly short throw for an era of car like this. So there's that Porsche feeling. It might be a little bit softer than some of the other old Porsches I've driven, such as the Speedster, but this is going to be a cruiser, a car that you could take out on a Sunday drive or Monday like we're doing right now and have a blast. So here we go, going up onto Mount Helix. Yeah, what a great little car to drive. See this nice little tight turn here, very easily navigated. Yep. Got a little traffic on the road today. Yeah, into first, slots in nice and properly. So the disc brakes, they're not quite as strong as I would hope, but they get the job done. You have to press the brake pedal down a little bit further than what I would hope for spirited driving, but the brakes are there, and they're better than the drums that came on earlier 356s. And that little Mount Helix loop is very nice. Yeah, so shifting into third there, not bad at all. And here we are making our way back down to one of the main roads. Yeah, as I pass this garbage truck here, it just reminds me how small this 356 is. Now I'm gonna give a heel toe a try here. So not perfect, but I got it done. And here we go. First gear, gonna give it the beans a little bit. Yeah. Nice and easy, that's for sure. This is just a pleasure to drive. Yeah, the steering weights up perfectly. It's one of the most pleasant parts of the car. It's a little bit, I wouldn't say dead, but it's a little loose on center, but once you're in the turn, it takes a set. And you have all that torque you need through the big rim steering wheel to get any sort of turning you need done. What a pleasant little car to drive. And I keep saying this about old Porsches, is that they always drive newer than you think. So this is 1964. Man, you find me an American car from the 1970s or 1980s that drives this well, and I'll give you a pat on the back and buy you some coffee or something like that. I don't know. But it just really impresses me how the 356s that I've driven drive like much newer cars than they are. Wow, this has been a very informative drive, that's for sure. Here are the ratings for the car. So first rating is car show. I think if you show up in a 356 quite like this, in this color with the red interior, people are going to be looking at it. It's a really pleasing car to look at. It has all the charm that any Porsche 356 has. And the fact that this is in nice condition and it's almost all original, with owner still has some of the original parts that might not be on the car right now. This is a car show classic right here. I'm gonna give this a 9 for car show because it's just a charming old Porsche, and it's driven a good amount, and it's an honest car that looks great. For daily driving, you could daily drive this if the car weren't so valuable nowadays and small compared to everything else on the road. But I think I saw in the manual for the car that it'll get easily over 20 miles per gallon. I think it's like 25 miles per gallon. It's very comfortable. These seats have nice soft cushions. I was very comfortable driving it. And unlike the other 356 I drove, it was very easy to shift from gear to gear, very easy to steer the car, and I was never second guessing what the car was going to do at any point in the drive. It's not going to score super high for daily driver because an older car like this it doesn't make sense to do that. But for an old 356, I'll give it a 6.5 because it really is easy to drive. You can hop in, and if you know how to drive a stick shift, it shouldn't be any trouble at all. For road tripping, I'm gonna say it's slightly more like is what usually happens in these reviews, because Porsches that daily drive, they're always better at road tripping. I'll say that this is a 7 for road trip for the same reasons it's a great daily driver for a car of this era. Seat cushions, nice and soft. You have a bit of storage back here for whatever you might need, room for one passenger, and then a bit of storage in the front. You might not be going on a long road trip, but you could do it, and there are not many old cars like this where you could say you could drive for hours on end and be perfectly comfortable and have everything you need. Fun factor, I'm gonna call this an 8.5 for fun factor because easy car to drive, it has all the charm of an early Porsche, but all the good things that the later 356 received at the end of its lifespan. It's not quite that nitty-gritty, thrilling ride the Speedster was, but for different reasons. That Speedster, you could tell that it was made for performance to be possibly taken to the racetrack. This Cabriolet feels like you could attack a back road pretty well, but it's also more of a cruiser. So this is the kind of car that you would take out on a Sunday drive with your significant other or your best friend and put them in the passenger seat and maybe drive for a couple hours. So 8.5 for that. Excellent car. I'm really, really happy I got to drive another 356 so close to the last one and realize that some aspects of that last one were a little bit, maybe some shift bushings could be replaced or something. Many things about this car just seemed a bit tighter, which is to be expected. Watch that other 356 review by clicking on the card up here. And if you like this video, please smash the like button. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know if you agree with my review, if I missed something, or if you just have a different opinion. And if you like content like this, please subscribe to our channel. We would love to get to 100,000 subscribers as soon as we can. We'd like you to be a part of that achievement. Until next time.